Welcome to Uncovering Crime Tales, where we explore the darkest corners of human nature and the most chilling true crimes. Tonight, we bring you a story so shocking, so meticulously planned, that it shook 1920s Chicago and captured the attention of the entire world. This is the tale of Nathan Leopold and Richard Loeb, two brilliant young men whose arrogance and intellect drove them to commit the unthinkable, the abduction and murder of 14-year-old Bobby Franks. A crime so audacious and calculated, it became infamous as the crime of the century. Join us as we uncover a story of power, pride, and a plan gone horribly wrong. This is true crime, the way only Uncovering Crime Tales reveals it. The perpetrators, Nathan Leopold and Richard Loeb. In the early 1920s, Chicago was a city brimming with ambition and intellect. Among its brightest minds were Nathan Leopold Jr. and Richard Loeb, both prodigies with promising futures. Leopold, born in 1904, was a brilliant student with a particular interest in languages and ornithology. Loeb, a year younger, was equally gifted, excelling in academics and displaying a penchant for criminal behavior from a young age. Their relationship began as a friendship, but soon deepened into a complex bond. Both men came from affluent families and attended the University of Chicago, where they became acquainted with Clarence Darrow, a renowned defense attorney. This connection would later play a pivotal role in their case. The planning of the murder. In 1924, Leopold and Loeb, inspired by the concept of Nietzsche's Übermensch, Superman, believed they were intellectually superior beings who could commit the perfect crime without facing consequences. They meticulously planned the kidnapping and murder of a young boy to demonstrate their perceived superiority. Their victim was 14-year-old Bobby Franks, a relative of Loeb. The plan was to abduct him, demand a ransom, and then kill him, ensuring there were no witnesses. They chose Franks due to his proximity and the belief that his disappearance would not raise immediate suspicion. The execution of the crime. On May 21, 1924, Leopold and Loeb executed their plan. They lured Bobby Franks into their car under the pretense of giving him a ride. Once inside, they struck him on the head with a chisel, rendering him unconscious. They then drove to a remote area, where they killed him and disposed of the body in a culvert, covering it with hydrochloric acid to hinder identification. The murder was initially believed to be a kidnapping gone wrong. However, the police quickly discovered inconsistencies in the ransom note and the details provided by the perpetrators, leading to suspicions about their involvement. The investigation and arrest. The breakthrough in the case came when Leopold's glasses were found near the body. The unique prescription led investigators to Leopold, who was known to have lost a pair of glasses similar to those found at the crime scene. Upon questioning, Leopold confessed to the crime, implicating Loeb as his accomplice. The arrest of Leopold and Loeb sent shockwaves through the community. The media dubbed it the crime of the century, and the case garnered national attention. The trial that followed would become one of the most publicized in American history. The trial and its aftermath. The legal battle. The trial of Leopold and Loeb began in July 1924. The prosecution, led by Robert Crowe, sought the death penalty, emphasizing the brutality of the crime and the cold-blooded nature of the perpetrators. The defense, under the guidance of Clarence Darrow, argued that the defendants were not morally responsible due to their intellectual arrogance and lack of empathy. Darrow's defense was groundbreaking. He presented a plea of guilty to avoid the death penalty, focusing on the psychological factors that influenced the men's actions. He portrayed them as products of their environment and upbringing, seeking to mitigate their responsibility. The verdict. After deliberation, Judge John R. Caverly sentenced Leopold and Loeb to life imprisonment for murder and 99 years for the kidnapping. The sentence was a compromise, avoiding the death penalty while still holding the men accountable for their actions. The verdict was met with mixed reactions. Some felt justice had been served, while others believed the sentence was too lenient given the severity of the crime. Life in prison. Leopold and Loeb were incarcerated at the Stateville Penitentiary in Illinois. Their time in prison was marked by attempts at rehabilitation and continued intellectual pursuits. Leopold earned a degree in psychology, while Loeb engaged in various educational activities. Tragically, Loeb's life was cut short when he was murdered by a fellow inmate in 1936. Leopold, on the other hand, served his sentence and was eventually paroled in 1958 after serving 33 years. Legacy and cultural impact. The case of Leopold and Loeb left an indelible mark on American society. It raised questions about the nature of crime, punishment, and the influence of intellectualism on moral behavior. The media's portrayal of the defendants as superior beings who committed murder for the thrill of it captivated the public imagination. Cultural representations. The story of Leopold and Loeb has been the subject of numerous books, films, and plays. Notably, the 1959 film Compulsion, based on the case, explored the psychological aspects of the crime and the trial. The case also inspired the Broadway musical Never the Sinner. Ongoing debate. The ethical questions raised by the case continue to be discussed in academic and legal circles. The defense's argument that the defendants were not morally responsible due to their intellectual arrogance challenges traditional notions of criminal responsibility. Conclusion. The Leopold and Loeb case remains one of the most intriguing and controversial true crime stories in American history. It serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of intellectual hubris and the complexities of human behavior. The legacy of this case continues to influence discussions on crime, punishment, and the human psyche.